the class workbook has just different exercises in it, and it has all the rules to like paragraph manifesting and list manifesting, and I think there's rules for color manifesting. Just so if you ever need it, you have it. I just did an interview with How, and so as soon as I get that answer, they asked about what's a good affirmation, and then I'll pass it on to everyone too because I kind of laid it. I think I did an okay job laying it out. But like anytime you're setting your goals or setting your manifesting stuff, um, when you think about every list that you make or every time, it's just like keeping yourself focused. That's manifesting, right? Like goal setting is manifesting. It's just that by following certain rules and doing certain guidelines, your subconscious mind just pays closer attention to it. So you get better results because that part of you, it's worded in a way that that part of you understands it, knows what you're talking about. You're directing that part of your mind to it. So it just seems to work so much easier and faster because you're just following the rules of that part of the mind that is the same part of mind that creates your life, right? So of course it's going to work well. So especially if you're feeling out of sorts because you can't stay focused, this stuff is one of the best things that you can do because then you don't have to be focusing on it.
And that's what I tried to do this last week, is not only the manifesting like you guys suggested, but also I write 4 things out that I need to do in that day. I may not get to all 4 of them because, again, in a second I could be off doing something else, to the point of where I question if I even need Vyvanse one of these days. But after losing all the weight and not having the ED anymore, but I don't want that. I don't know. Anyways, on my medical record, but I make a list of 4 things and I try to get through those 4 things. At least I start small.
That I think that is excellent because there's always, like, if we're honest with ourselves, like any one of us, if we're honest with ourselves, there's always more to do than we realize, right? Or than we have time for. There's always more. I missed that way.
I think it was somebody just signed on.
Oh, so when you think about it that way, that if everybody has too much to do and not enough time, right, then really what you're doing is you're telling your subconscious mind, this is the most important stuff to me. And then from that list, your subconscious mind can pick the easiest, fastest, best way to get all of those things done. List manifesting and write favorites, because we write lists every day, right? So if you think about, you get your subconscious mind trained into what you want it to be doing and you know how you want it to be creating stuff, and then every list that you make from that moment forward, and everybody makes lists. There's always a list for something. There's always a list for something, or you can always make one. And that's if you're not a writer. Also, if you are a writer, paragraph manifesting may be better, or like storytelling. But like tonight, I wanted to talk about a little bit about what happens if you have a couple different goals that you want, right? Like if this happens, then you'll do this, or if this happens, then you'll do this, right? And if that doesn't happen, then you're not doing anything. So you want to make sure that your stuff doesn't conflict, right? So it's not two of the same, having on the same deadline with 2 different things that don't work with each other, or that are in direct opposition to each other, or in direct competition. So if you're looking for a new job, but you still want to keep your old job until you get the new job, right? How do you write that out? How does that look? Because you don't want to feel threatened, and you don't want to feel like your livelihood is at stake, but you still want to be able to move forward. So it's that being honest with yourself about what is true, what can you really create, what is possible. So the first part of that would be like truth, what's possible. And then it would be, what do you actually really want, right? And if you can fit in or find a way to word it to where you're not like, so I'm just using the job as an example. So you're not actually using that place that you work already, but you're using a lot of the things that it does for you or that you do there. So then it would fit right in because you already do that there. So if you're doing one because you love it and you enjoy, what you're going to be actually doing in it, and you do the other one for money, right? You could write it up and they could very easily fit together because you like them or need them for different reasons. But if it's for the same reason or it's the same thing, you would want to write out your date and the time that you want to buy. And a lot of people use such and such or better, whatever it is that they want, and then or better. I would recommend writing something up and doing more like I guess you could do list or you could do paragraph. Writing something up about how everything that you want is falling into place. There's the perfect timing, so that you can trust the timing. And then you could write about, staying where you are and how much you appreciate it. and are excited. And then if you move, how excited you are and how much you appreciate it. Because you figure this is your life, right? Every moment of it, every moment of every day belongs to you. And everything that you feel is a message for you. And it's to bring you back to your light and your truth. So, of course, things are going to work for you. They have to, right? The key is realizing that. It's a big one. And the second one is finding all the things that you love about it. It's easy for us to find things that we dislike about things, but just like Carol was talking about her gratitude list, right? Or writing what she's thankful for. And it just makes a huge difference because your mind is focused on something else. It's not focused on lack necessarily, right? Or shouldn't be. It's focused on the future and creating that. And I would even go a step further and say, if you have somebody in your life and you trust them, right? Or you're planning on having them for a much longer time in your life, then yes, you should include them. But also when you're writing up your list of everything that you want, make sure that there's enough space in there for them. Just like if you wanted to have a relationship with someone, you would want to clear out space in your bedroom, right? Because if you're used to living alone and then you have somebody else living there, that's a huge change. And we're not all ready to make that yet. But if you write it out first, then you get a good idea of it and you can see it and see what it would be like or feel what it would be like. And you may find that you change your mind on who sleeps where or, about times of this or times of that. Um, so when you're doing something that involves two different aspects or two different pieces, make sure you write your manifesting accordingly. That makes sense. I feel like I was very long-winded.
No, it does. It definitely applies. I have three different things going at one time, though, that the new one I feel guilty for, but it speaks to me so strongly. But then I have my job, it's 100% remote. I was already trying to write, like you said, while you're there, work on the novel. And now there's a third one that I might have the opportunity to start working on another stream of income because I need to do that, especially right now with the house and trying to stabilize. And that stream of income is going to take up more time during the day. And then, like you said, feeling guilty from taking away from the other two or all the things. So I'm trying to figure out how to manifest the three.
Have you listened to the so there's two downloads I thought of. One was always feeling guilty, and then the other one was always feeling behind.
The behind it one, I need that one.
Right? Because you just feel behind in the world, everything.
I feel that way all the time.
So imagine what it would be like if you didn't. How much more space you'd have, how much more mind time you'd have,
And
right?
behind on time, and that even just seems impossible. Sorry, everybody, but like I laugh because of it. Like I can't even be on time for anything. So I should manifest that.
Yes, you should. And manifest meaning, when I say it, meaning write it down,
Yeah,
like write it in your manifesting journal. So when we're talking about other people and they have a say in your manifesting or if they don't, or, um, you know, whatever, everything, the way it happens, right? The more secure and sure you are of what you want and what you're creating, the easier it's going to be, for one. And two, you won't second guess yourself. It's not just getting confidence, it's maintaining the confidence that you have, right? It's not letting those negative thoughts in. But like what an exciting time.
definitely a season.
Well, are you still busy? Is it the same? Did you just say season?
Yeah,
Okay. Like, is your work and everything still the same, no matter what time of year it is?
yeah, it is. But I meant a season for me, sure, in the sense that I feel like this is kind of the gap season. I'm in between
Oh, yeah, yeah.
changing, like from the way things were to the way things might become. I definitely feel there's a lot of change on the
Well,
forefront.
this is
I'm
exciting. Nothing's set in stone.
no, I'm very
Area.
excited.
So there's and I don't have it out yet, but probably it's not on there. I'd have him show you. He has one of them, and it's a manifesting for change journal workbook thing, and it's written different than the other ones because it's written for you to do it every single day. So it's if you want the same type of thing, if you're working on one specific goal, that you can write about that goal in different ways every single day, and that way it's repeated, but not in the same way, right? Because you don't want to write the same thing every single day. That would be lame and boring. But when you're creating your whole life, there's so much that you could write about. There's so much you could do. There's so many ways that you could stretch your mind and be excited about what's coming in your life. Because Carol, you could use a couple really great affirmations like show me what's show me how good it can get, show me how easy it is, show me how great it can be, right? Because you're in a brand new phase.
Yeah, I like that. Show me how good it can be. What was the other one?
Or great it can get or how good it can get. Show me how easy it can be. So I answered it in the interview that I had, but I'll tell you guys too. So I think the greatest affirmations ever are the ones that you don't have any comparison with what you're saying, right? So your mind doesn't have to go to any place before to compare it to where you are now, right? And then when it never plateaus. So like show me how great it can get. That's fantastic. Why? Because you can always be great, right? Every day you can use that every single day for everything and it would still work and you'd still get some type of result. Show me how easy it can be. That's another good one. Because who doesn't want things to be easy, right? Easy better. And the show me moves you aside and puts you into the observing part of mind, which is, absolutely your subconscious mind.
Because I was wondering about that actual word, the show, because I know in journaling and talking to you over the last several years, never, how do I articulate it? We talk about it.
It's already happening.
Yeah, like you phrase it, sorry.
You want a present tense, but you want it to where like there's no will, right? You want it so that you're creating whatever it is, so that you're accepting it, it's coming. But the show me makes you an observer.
Okay.
So especially if you're unsure of what you're doing or you don't know how great it can get because maybe it's a little scary or different, right, than wherever you've been or whatever you've done, that the show me gives you a break, so to speak, and lets your mind bring you what would work for you. So I'm a fan of show me. So all you visual people should be using like show me. If you're more auditory, then you could maybe want to hear a story or hear an example of this or an example of that. Kinesthetic people are they could kind of use show too, but you would use more like feeling words and being words. Remember, with your manifesting, and it's you and it's your mind and it's your life. So if you do goof and decide, oh man, that is not what I want, you can just change it. So it's way better to go out there and try it and practice it and use it a little bit, even if you goof up a little bit. Because if you tried it, then at least you're in action, right? At least you're doing something, you're moving forward. And then if you find out this is the wrong thing, right, then you can always go back and try it again different times or different places or different ways. But like your manifesting journal should be like your best friend, or your journal should be like your best friend. Your manifesting journal should be like your best friend who's going out and getting you what you want because you can always count on it. It's always there, right? And so if you think of it as it's what's um, helping you or saving you, it's not like um, you need a life vest, right? Like it doesn't have to pull you out of anything, but it can really help in all the different things that you're doing because it'll give you natural confidence. And when you talk about it, it'll sound different, right? Like knowing what your mind is doing, what your body's doing, knowing what's to your highest good, just lets you enjoy every moment of every day more. Manifesting can be so fun, right? It can just be so fun. Just write it down. And what is more fun than that? Especially when you remember that your subconscious mind remembers everything. So anything that you were trying to create even 10 years ago, if you haven't gotten it yet, your subconscious mind is still doing it. So if you are using, a journal, like your manifesting journal or your workbook, at the top of your manifesting list or that kind of homeworky thing, there'll be there'll be ways for you to tell like what am I trying to say? So when you're using all these different techniques and I got sidetracked, sorry about that. When you're using all these different techniques for what you're creating and you're keeping track of it and you're using them in your manifesting journals, you should be able to tell which ones work for you and which ones um, work the very best for you. And you'll get in the habit of always creating everything that you put in those journals, not what's in your head. And so not what you're thinking about. So when you're going through a different stage or change in your life, we have a whole lot of things going on in our minds that we don't want created, right? You want to be able to tell right away what you're creating and what you want to be creating and what is just you kind of dumping the stuff that's in your head or sorting everything out, right? So that's one of the things that the journals do is that it helps your subconscious mind choose just the stuff that you want. You want to know that everything that you're creating or the life that you are making is the life that you desire, right? Like you don't want weird stuff to pop up because you were creating it 2 years ago and you forgot to tell it not to do it anymore. So the more we stay on top of our journaling and keeping track of everything, the better. So if you haven't gone through your journals or just gone through in your mind and figured out the stuff that you have not gotten yet, that you had your heart set on, you can always make a list about all the things that you're not creating anymore or that your subconscious mind can stop manifesting. Because like I said, it'll just keep at it, which is actually pretty cool when you think about it. Also, it would be kind of scary when you're thinking about the difference of the person that you are now versus who you were 20 years ago. So anytime we have big life changes, or even they can be small life changes, right? But they're your life changes, go back through and reset your goals. Because Carol, you've mentioned your ADD or your ADHD a lot. I would manifest something about that. I would write about that. And I would listen to downloads about it too. But I would write about like how I get it under control or how I use it to my benefit or how I've learned how to work with myself.
Focus more.
That I have perfect focus. So if you can think it, create it. And if it's something that's in your mind all the time, kind of bugging you, then it's like it's reminding you this is important, right? This is one of the reasons you're here. This is part of your higher path. Because we all have different reasons that we do different things and we bring different stuff with us for each lifetime. So each one of you, the only person that's ever going to be able to live your life path or your golden path is you. It's pretty amazing when you think about it that you have your own very specific path that only you can do, that you're the only one that's here to share that very specific thing. Even if you don't deem it as important or powerful or even necessary, if that's what you're here to do, you're just going to simply do it better than everyone and everything else, usually without trying too hard. So it is like a gift. So the more you embrace, those great parts of you and all the interesting parts of you, the better able you are to create exactly what you want and to change it. Did that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, good. So tonight, does anybody have any questions? Just checking. Um, so if you wanted to manifest tonight and you had two things or like a crossroads between, that would be a great time to do it. If you want to know why something is happening the way it's happening, why it happened to you, or right where you are, it would be a great thing to manifest for tonight is to get those answers. And sometimes you'll notice that you get information right away and you just kind of know what to do and how to do it. And then other times you have to sit and think about it.
I have a question, Jen. It's Meg.
Yes.
Hi.
Hmm.
I think I've asked this before in some of the previous classes, but if you're an anxious type person or a worry type person, or even if you're not, but you're just maybe going through a more difficult time, but you're trying to, stay positive and manifest at that time or write something out that's positive, how do you do that? Like, how do you get yourself to do that? Do you just force yourself to write? Or like, I'm curious also, like for other people in the class, I know Carol mentioned she's going through some difficult stuff right now also, and she's trying to do it every morning religiously. But I'm just trying to get everyone's thoughts.
I'll let everybody else speak first and then I'll give you directions.
Well, who was here last week? Was it Michelle or somebody that was talking about somebody, I forgot who it was. Maybe not Michelle, it was somebody else that I don't see here tonight that was they write that one saying every morning along with or doing the manifesting, saying it, working, all that stuff.
I should say that.
I forgot who it was. But I've just really been trying the last week to see if
So
it helps energy too.
Has it helped your energy? Do you, even though like I know I in the beginning I was on mute and I wasn't listening to every little thing because I just got home, but I know you mentioned you've had some difficult things going on recently. How are you able to, I guess, get yourself out of that funk and do it?
Well, it's definitely, I think, an ebb and flow for me. I think some days are better than others. Today, I definitely had more energy to once I sit down in the morning and I kind of do like a little routine now. I do I don't know if there are guys in here, you're gonna laugh, but like I do, I have like a red light LED mask, the skin therapy, skin for my skin. I do that. I do my manifesting. I write everything down. I'm trying to make a habit of it, and I feel like it does give me more focus. I think because for me, the amount of issues that are going on right now, if I don't prioritize them or make lists or say everything's going to be okay, then I do get down about it. So I have to make a conscious effort to shift how I'm thinking, because it's been really hard the last couple of months, because I feel like I'm literally drowning right now. But then something was just made that came open. Like I'm very small at it, but social media stuff, and something just changed this week to where I might be able to start, it's still going to take a lot of work, but another stream of income where you had to be at a certain level, and they dropped that level to where I'm already qualifying. So I'm like,
Oh,
oh, yay.
well,
That's exciting if it's possible, because I enjoy it already. And I guess for me, having to write it out, say it out, maybe stop a couple times during the day and just think, okay. And like I said, I write 4 things out a day, a list also of that I need to get done. And I try to write 3 things that I'm grateful for. I found that there's another journal that I saw, unrelated, not sold by the same person, but like I was listening to a podcast, and they call it like the lucky girl syndrome. And so I'm just trying to focus on like the energy that I think about. I've always felt is what I bring about. So if I'm going to think negative, it's just going to be manifest destiny for me. I've always believed that. So I have to try and focus on something else, or I know I'll lose the house. It's my dad's, but all of a sudden all these bills were thrust upon me, and I am a little behind. I am a little bit drowning, but I'm not trying to just not face it. Now I'm facing it, but I'm also like, once I'm facing it, I'm moving through it so that I can get things accomplished. If I'm
right.
making sense, Megan, at all, I don't know. This is what is working for me so far. And it doesn't mean that tomorrow I might not wake up and cry. I don't know. You know what I mean? But
Oh, it makes a lot of sense, and it's thank you, Carol, for sharing. It's helpful, and that's why I always tell Jen I love our classes. Even if I can't always participate, at least listen in, because I just feel like it's so nice to hear other people talk and listen and get ideas. And my question is that, and this is for you and Jen and anyone, let's say you, excuse me, you are trying to manifest, you are trying to stay positive, but you can't help but some negativity or negative thoughts or worries kind of creep up. Maybe just because the way you've been conditioned or things that have happened in your life over the last few years that have just been not so awesome. What do you do with those, Jen? Do you just like recognize it and say, okay, that's a negative thought. That's a worry. I see it. I'm going to let it go.
If it's true, so if it's true, right? If there's truth to it, you sit down and you do your like worst case and best case scenarios. So, I mean, if that's the thing that could really happen, you want to come up with a plan. If that does happen, what are you going to do? Once you have a plan, then you don't have to keep thinking about it. So, anytime anything pops into your head, anything at all, right? It's coming from some part of you that deems it important. And if we ignore those parts of us that think whatever that is important, then eventually that part of us is going to get mad or irritated or upset or feel neglected, right? Or it's going
that's
to be neglected,
when I
right?
was
Or
in all the house stuff, I was
right.
upset. And for me, I just went to sleep. And then last week, whoever was on here that talked about the manifesting daily and just making it a priority, and Jen, and knowing, for being with you for the last 9 years, working with you, like I'm like, why have I stopped, or why have I stopped doing this when I was doing it before? So kind of getting back on the train and just trying to make a habit. And yeah, I mean, if I have bad days, for me personally, I lay down or I play with my dogs. Or she mentioned that I know Jen gave a list of what people do. I'll go to sleep, or I will find something that is what I'm writing, either Game of Thrones or like the new Bridgerton season is out. I'll just immerse myself in that, and somehow it releases the tension in my brain. Or I'll exercise. I'm cardio queen, like I exercise all the time. But
So have another question, Carol, just curious. I know you've said you've been with Jen for a long time.
I was up until December. Yeah. 4.5 years.
Do you, because Jen can see things obviously that we can't. Do you ever ask Jen about that stuff? I know I overheard you were dealing with some things with your house and this and that, or not really?
I don't know that I think we talked about this a little bit. We touched on it a little bit once, and I know that she can. I don't know that I've ever phrased questions that way, but I know that the feedback that she's given me in one-on-one sessions has spoken to a lot of that. And I just take it as I don't know how to say it like right, but education, and just that she's right. And just to either do exercises or do the things that she tells me to get there. Because I know for me, she knows that I'm going to get there, but to get from point, B to C or C to D, I still have to for me, the type of person I am, I still have to do the work. Yes, I could be a writer, or I mean, I could be a published author, but I still have to finish the damn third act that I literally stopped 4 years ago. I've been in classes for the last 2 years, but like I haven't finished because I was sucked into the narcissistic relationship that I was in, and focusing all my energy all the time on that, to where
as they do, it becomes soul
gained,
sucking.
1 year I gained like 45 pounds, and then even I think at the beginning of between the holidays 2022 23 I gained 30 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's all just, it was so toxic that, and I even still exercised, but my body just wouldn't take it. And she knew that John wasn't right for me in 2021. And I even told her, like, I don't care, I want this now. And she's like, well, if you want this now, be prepared that this is how it's going to be. This is what you're going to need to, this is how, I mean, she wasn't really telling me how to act, but I can't articulate it in another way. You're going to need to, communication styles that she talks about indirect, direct. She just gave me all the tools to try and learn, to the point of where all of 2023, I've just found myself weaning myself off of him so that I could move into this new season, this new phase of my life.
So basically, it sounds like you don't maybe directly ask Jen, like, hey, is this going to happen or not, XYZ? But
I don't so much in that point, but I know that she will tell me this is happen if and
right.
And then I just kind of process it.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Okay, I got to say something. So, Carol, you know how everything stopped for you?
Stopped when? Last year or what?
No, when you were saying with John, for 4 years, it just stopped. You haven't finished your book?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a pretty typical thing, just in general, just so everybody knows, that if you have a lesson or you have right, say you're on your golden path and you're dead on, you're doing exactly what you're meant to do, and yada yada yada, and then something comes up and derails you, right? Like when you get back on track, you'll pick up right where you left off. You'll start right where you stepped off.
And I do feel that way a little bit, but also the stressors with the house, and now this opportunity to possibly make another stream of income. I'm scared to death because, like, I'm never going to give up, and we're going to write we already have a second book that's half done that we're going to finish this summer, and then I have a new one I'm going to start in the new year. But like, the third act still needs to be finished. But I feel like, is this third thing, this new stream of income, is that going to derail me? Because it's going to take time.
How long have you been saying that you wanted another job and another stream of income?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, now you finally have it.
I know that like, it's not enough, even though I make good money. And whether that's because of me, and I don't know.
And the slowing down thing, Jen, you've told me that too, right? not
Right.
maybe necessarily directly, but you have told, like, given me examples. And I think for me, I just, I mean, my situation is completely different from Carol, and I know today's manifesting and not narcissism class. But yeah, I could not stop. Or I mean,
Right.
I could not stop because it was just so terrible that I had to have other things going on, even if I was very depressed. So anyway, that's another story for another day.
I
But
mean,
what
I think it happened that way for you, Megan, because it the way it happened is the only way that you would have kept going. But when we're talking about manifesting stuff, right? There's got to be stepping stones. So that's the other challenging part of it. If you're not concerned with if you're settling, if that person is right for you, if you're just not concerned because you just need somebody to take up space, then you find someone much faster, right? It looks like you get over things much easier. Doesn't mean it's true, but it certainly looks like it. Where everyone who wants to do it in a healthy way or in a better way, and this can be with anything, right? It doesn't just have to be with a person. But you want to do it the right way because we always get second chances or we get multiple chances. Why? Because it's about figuring stuff out and being who you are, right? Being the best you can be. So you're going to have redos in life. That comes with the territory. So that's a good thing, right? You get a redo. Um, so when you get that redo, like, Carol just said she met a widower and said, no, okay, nope, we're done. That was like her learning that lesson, right? Done. So it shouldn't,
he was
right?
fine as hell, and I was I'm like, but no,
Right. So hopefully that will never come up again
I hope.
because she got it, right? So remember that too. Like once you get it, the messenger just get the message and the messenger disappears. So a lot of times, and if nobody settled, honestly, if nobody settled, you would have never been with them, right? You wouldn't have been with them in the first place unless part of you was willing to settle. So
How
when
was
you
I
think about
supposed to know after the second date?
Mhm.
Didn't even tell me.
But I mean, I think it's hard to like, how do you know, right? If nobody told you don't settle, because if you settle, terrible things happen, right? If nobody told you that, and if you had to learn it, that means that you went through it. And if you went through it, then here we are.
Why did it take 6.5 years and the last of my childbearing years? If I should have wanted a child, which I was still on the fence about, so no harm, no foul. But you know what I mean?
I feel the
Why,
exact same way. I feel the
why,
exact same.
why couldn't it have just taken 2 months? Or maybe it did. I just didn't realize it. I don't know.
Or it's like the little things that we say, oh, it's okay, I'd like to have this, but it's okay, right? What is my exception thing? Never make exceptions for anyone because
Mm.
your right, like your sacrifice becomes their expectation, and now the whole relationship is set up differently than like in your ideal relationship, and that can be from looks, from the way that they look, to the way that you're treated, to how often they call you, to what they talk about, or how often they talk about you or ask about you, all of that.
But at what point are my expectations unreasonable? Or are
That is a good question.
they?
But unreasonable would be doing it to keep it away from you. Do you know what I mean? People who make up stuff so they can't, like there are people that will just make everything so difficult that it doesn't matter, right? No matter what that person does, they're going to lose. And then there are people that just know what they want. But like Michelle, if you ended up with somebody who was like 5'7", what would happen?
I wouldn't date them because they're 5'7".
Right, because you would go crazy because that's not what you like. And then
No.
you'd be somebody who's like way too short, right? Like, for the rest of your life.
Mind you, everyone, I am 5'2". So there's that. My sister's gotten on my case. She's like, yeah, you're just horrible. Like, I can't believe, like, what's the whole point? I'm like, I just, sorry. I can't take someone who is slightly taller than me seriously.
But that thing, right? Like, that's your thing and it's
Hmm.
important, period, right? Like whatever
It's
the
just
thing.
like I can't date someone who wears skinny jeans because
Oh,
inevitably their legs are half the size of mine. And I know that if in a fight, I could take them. And I just have no respect for that.
so cute. But if we're talking about relationships and manifesting, would it be, Jennifer, what do you think? Is it bad to like practical magic? Is it bad to write a recipe for what you want?
No,
Because
it's good.
dating coaches, the general public dating coaches, and even ones that are very popular out there are like, well, you're never gonna be satisfied like me. Like you only want someone that's 6'4", looks like you know, this, that, you know what I mean? Like you're never gonna find them because maybe that's not the person meant for you. There are literally, you know,
Sally's person was like, she wrote all that down and she did her spell. Honestly, if I mean, let's
And
face it, it was
but
an
I
anti-love
remember,
spell, but
right?
that brought Aiden Quinn right to her doorstep, literally. I mean,
I know
granted,
that's
she was
why I
being
use that.
investigated for murder, but still.
I know that's why I used it. But I mean, do we manifest like that? Can we? Is it wrong
Yes.
to?
No.
So, sorry, Jen. I had there was a little shop that had a grand opening and they had a whole bunch of people, like psychics, a chiropractor, tarot readers, like a whole bunch of people came and set up like shop and they did like little mini sessions for everybody. And so I had one gal who was a tarot reader, and so she did my cards. And of course, what do you always ask a tarot reader? Love, career, that's pretty much it, right? And so she actually told me, she goes, go home, sit down, and get, like, she goes, do you journal? I go, no, I don't. And she goes, okay, well, get a notebook or something to at least write it down. She goes, and just write down every quality that you can think of, but in a positive way. So, like, and I kind of looked at her like, I looked at her like, what do you mean, like tall, good looking? And she's like, yeah, but like write it in a way that makes sense for you. So she's like, so someone who is good looking to you, because the person who's good looking to you may not be good looking to me. Someone who likes spending time with you, someone who enjoys your family, like start writing those down and get down to like the nitty gritty, not just like someone cute, someone like this, someone that, like someone nice. Nice how? Like is spending time with you, has complimentary, hobbies, or will entertain your hobbies, even though it's not something he likes to do. What exactly? And I was like, oh, okay. And like once you start writing them down, I thought I was just gonna have like, like what, 10, 12 things, no big deal. I had like 4 pages worth of stuff when you start writing it all down. Because then you start getting into all the things, like then you start kind of thinking about what's important to you. And I was like, well, I want someone who has a career they enjoy, not just not just a job. I want them to enjoy their career so that they're happy doing that. Someone who supports my career, someone who, knows how to invest for our future, someone who is going to enjoy going to my family events or my work events or just stupid things like that. He's not gonna get mad because I decided to go out with my girlfriend instead of with him on a Friday night. I don't know. Just once she kind of broke it down, I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, I came out with a whole bunch of more stuff. Did it work? Kind of.
We're
I
still
should have
working on
put, and unfortunately, I haven't figured out how to do a positive spin on not an asshole, because not an asshole is just pretty, really like, descriptive. So, how do you do the positive side of that without
so
using the
okay.
negative words?
So I have
Thank you for the lessons he taught me. At least that's what I do.
a
How
great
do you do it?
I don't even like talking about him or what he taught me or not, because I don't know if this is still might come across as immature, but I just feel like it's all about me. How strong I am or how I came out of the situation. I don't even want to give the other person any credit. Sorry if that sounds petty.
Ask Jen. I'm like one of the pettiest people out there. One of the things I would tell you that I've done petty wise will, my hair has gone on fire. I don't think it's petty at all. Good for you. Absolutely good for you.
You.
I don't look at it for me, and I totally understand it because I don't look at it as like, oh, he taught me this. No, I learned this on my own on how I responded to his shitty behavior. It was all me. It wasn't him, and
Yep.
he didn't have anything to do with it. He acted the way he acted because that's how he acts. It was my reaction or the way that I dealt with it that was on me, and whether I learned something about that or not. Bottom line, what I learned was that, you know what, go ahead. I always say, if my sister's boyfriend hurt her, I'd fucking go stab him. Well, take that energy and apply it to my own love life, because if some fucker comes up and starts doing the shit that my ex-boyfriend did, might as well just stab him then and there. Be done. I'm also a little violent. Petty and violent, by the way.
Good thing you're in law.
I mean, and I've used that at Ask Jen. She's heard my stories. I have used that to my advantage, to his advantage as well, but to my own advantage, because that's how I got petty. and I started getting snotty about stuff. But I know it was more, and if anything, it's like I don't do it to help him so much as I do it to, well, the kids are the innocents in all this, so I do it to help the kids. But it's really just to get, to deal with my own bullshit.
So I have a manifesting story.
Oh, yay.
I'd forgotten it until we were just talking about it. So I'm gonna probably leave out really big pieces of it, but you'll get the gist of it. So I had a client, and her thing was she wanted a man, and she had a really hard time finding one. She was tall. She was 6 foot tall, and she was thin, and she looked like she would be like the model, right? Because she's almost like a boy body because she's so thin, and I think she used to run. And so anyway, so she was in her mid to late 30s and had just gotten over cancer and had her uterus removed. So now she can't have kids, and she was very devastated about it. And so just getting her out to date was very difficult. So anyway, we worked on manifesting her perfect person. And so she wrote down everything that she wanted and what she hoped to find, which she thought did not exist and that was ridiculous. And she's not a real metaphysical person. Um, and so she wanted somebody that could travel over the summers because she was a teacher. And so she was off, so she wanted to be able to go away for like 3 months out of the year. And I don't know what else was there. There's all this stuff. Oh, yeah, she had herpes. So that was a problem. And then she was really tall. I think that was the other problem. So she wanted somebody taller than her. And she had to have somebody that was okay with not having kids. So anyway, so she wrote down everything that she wanted. And then I think it took a while because we worked on it. So she worked on it in session, and she was my 3-week person. So she came in every 2 weeks, but we couldn't tell what worked for 3 weeks. So she got me really good at paying attention to timing, right? So whatever we worked on, we'd have to skip one session and see next time. Anyway, so she ended up meeting somebody, and he ended up coming to session with her, and I got to meet him, and they did a couple sessions together. Who was 6'4", who also had herpes, was a widower, and had full custody of his daughter. And somehow or another, I think he worked from home. This is way before remote was anything, so he could travel. Ta-da! That was it. That was the whole story.
How did she do that?
She did it by
Did she
writing.
just write it down?
And then she came into session, and we just worked on, got rid of any blocks that she had. And she dated though. She was like Carol, man. When she wanted something, that's what she did. She focused on it and she got it done. So we would work on it constantly, right? But any blocks that I have, any programs that I have, anything that holds me back from having it. And she could be on the negative side. She could definitely be on the negative side.
Oh, I could totally do that. Negative side, anyway.
But and she wanted somebody that liked the same stuff she liked, and she liked art, history. Like she was a very unique person, and everything that she liked, he liked. Right? Like it was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. And when you ask him, he'd say that he'd been praying for her, right? And I think he wrote letters to God about it or something. Like it was pretty interesting. Oh, and I think his family or his ex-wife or because he's a widower, so whatever his late wife, I think her family got the little girl over the summers or something, right? Like it was crazy.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially if they're, you situation I've got on my hands is one parent moved away and the child stays here with the other. And so they'll split the summers. And so that's the big bulk of the time. So
that was her traveling during the summer, right? He could travel with her because he didn't even have his daughter. Like, and he didn't want more kids. And she always wanted kids. So then she got to have one. And she was little. She was like 1 or 2. Like she was little.
oh shit, yeah, she inherited a child,
Yep.
little baby.
So I totally forgot about
Yeah.
that. Like it can happen, right? And she was absolutely, that's what she wanted, right? She's like, I don't have much else in my life. This is what I want. So see, it can work.
The key is like dating. Like I can't freaking get that to happen to save my life.
We could always do like a relationship one once a month, or we could do it random weekend something. Because you got to, once you change your programs or once you try, you got to get out there and you have to try it because you got to see what happens after you change it.
I would
I
be
mean,
down for that too.
Then I get whiny. I am. I'm telling you, I'm a scary person to people.